So, thank you very much, Mr. Shea. Thank you. I feel very privileged to be here today. I would like first to thank the organizers and Monsieur Carteron in particular, and also all the dignitaries who attend this meeting, and all the ladies who are there. And I can tell you that after what I heard today, what I hear sometimes in Africa, I feel very humble. And we feel in Europe we are very privileged. And I hope that the work that we are doing in L'Oréal Research is going to improve the everyday life of African women. Why it is important to take care of oneself is because skin is an organ of communication. And by having a good appearance, we know all that we improve our self-esteem, and then this will reinforce more and more our position in the society in order to build up again and again. So beauty is not a dictature. Beauty is just being consistent with what we are and bringing and consolidating our own self-esteem. So, as was very nicely introduced by Mr. Shea, yes, I am dermatologist. I have a clinic in Paris where I see only African people, dark-skinned people. And I have programs all over the world, but I work in Africa for more than 15 years. And I would like to cover some of the aspects I discovered and where we have worked in the last years. Why I think it's important to present this here in this assembly, in this audience, is because you are all very inspiring. And you play a role of models for all the young generation of women in Africa. And that's why I would like to introduce by this message why skin bleaching in Africa is such an issue. It is a public health concern. And I would like to give you what are the backgrounds of these habits. So I'm not going to make you confused by a lot of science and techniques, but I would like just to remember, to let you know that, in fact, more than 8 million years ago, we all were very fair skin with hair covering our skin. And on this fair skin covered with hair, we could protect ourselves from the very difficult climate. But with the warming of the temperature, obviously a few million years later, the humankind lost the hair covering, and then the skin started to be darker and darker. Why? Because it has some biological consequences, which are the induction of a specific genetic receptor, which is going to give a UV protection with darker skin, and also creation of what we call barrier function to be the first line of defense against the environment. All the story started in East Africa, as you know, Lucy, but after these different changes in the first humankind, then migration took place. And because of the migration, the darker skin color, which was here at the origin, this was about 1 million years ago after the migration, then to make a natural selection of population, the skin became clear, more and more fair, clear and clear. And that's why humanity is a diversity of skin color. You see here the darker skin type in the lower hemisphere and the Asian skin type in the east part in the Asian continent. But you see that in Caucasian, the white skin, Caucasian skin is more found in Northern Europe. It is important to characterize the skin color because we have divided humanity globally in 3 skin types. The Caucasian, the fair skin, the Asian, what was called yellow skin, and the black skin. But in fact, it's more complex than that. And that's why working in research, what we need is to be totally accurate. And that's why we have developed systems with this equipment, which is called a chromometer, where with this equipment, we could identify the very large diversity of skin colors. And we have identified more than 60 nuances of skin color. And you will see why this study was done all over the world. And you will see why it is important, because if we focus on the populations, on the different population types, you see that there is the Caucasian skin color is around the same skin light. But if we speak about Indian women and African women, you see that there is a very large spectrum of diversity of skin color. So we cannot categorize the black people by being black. That's not true. Black skin has this diversity. And this is very important to take into account, not only to do the clinical research, the scientific works, but also to deliver products and cosmetics which are going to be totally adapted to what is the reality of what is the so-called black skin. On the top of that, what we have found recently was you see, this study was done in 4 different types of population: African American, Mexican, Chinese, and Caucasian. And by this examination, we could evaluate the degree of what we call skin color heterogeneity. It is a complex word to me, which means that on the top of the natural skin color, we have pigmented spots. But the thing is that the darker the skin color is, the higher risk of pigmentation heterogeneity we have. So this explains why in Africa, the first concern is skin color heterogeneity in dermatology. And in addition to this concern, what we know, and this I don't give you the result, but we have found in the lab that each time someone with dark skin has an inflammation, acne, itching, scars, burns, or even here it's a fungal infection, a past fungal infection, then each time there is a redness on the darker skin, each time there will be a pigmented spot. The thing we know is the darker the skin, the longer period of time this dark spot will stay. So this is really one of the very important issues we have to face when we treat, as dermatologists, when we treat dark-skinned people. In addition to this post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, there is an uneven tone of the skin. And when you look at faces of people from Africa, Afro-Americans, the more we age, the more you see that there is a natural heterogeneity of the skin color. And it is not rare that at my clinic in the hospital, someone comes to see me to have a dermatological advice because the forehead is darker, because around the mouth it's darker, and African people don't like it at all. And what we have discovered that this is due to UVA light. So not going too much in the details of UV light, you know, there is UVA and UVB. The memnotechnique model, we can say UVB is burning, and burning induces skin cancer in fair-skinned people. But this doesn't concern the dark-skinned people. But UVA is the part of the UV light which is responsible for this diverse hyperpigmentation on the darker skin. In addition to that, what we have also shown in our labs is you know that the percentage of population residing in large cities, what we call megacities, is increasing. It's about 50% of human populations around the world. And there are quite a number of megacities in Africa. And the lifestyle in large cities will induce also some pollution. And the combination of pollution plus UVA light is the reason for hyperpigmentation. So in Africa, what's going on now? There is an increase of life expectancy, thanks God. There is a major decrease of the largest infectious diseases. There is an adaptation to city life, as just said, and adaptation to population. Today, the number one concern in terms of public health is what we call the lifestyle diseases. Number one being obesity and diabetes. Number two, cardiovascular disease. But we can consider that hyperpigmentation of the body in dermatology is a lifestyle disease which is increasing very rapidly in Africa. So what I'm going to say here is one misconception. Misconception, en français, c'est une fausse idée reçue. La fausse idée reçue, c'est que la peau noire est très dure, la peau noire est insensible, et c'est totalement faux. Thinking that darker skin is not sensitive is a misconception. And why? Because the skin sensitivity is the same whatever the skin color. But there is in the African continent the perception that darker skin is less sensitive. And this is very important because in Africa, the hygiene habits are very traumatic. Donc en Afrique, on se frotte la peau, on se gratte la peau, on ne respecte pas sa peau mécaniquement parce qu'on pense qu'elle est plus résistante à tout. On dit qu'elle est comme du cuir. J'ai entendu cette expression terrible. Et en fait, non. Toutes les études scientifiques que nous avons faites ont montré que la peau est aussi sensible en Afrique qu'au Japon, en Asie, etc. Et surtout que la peau sensible concerne à peu près, est vue à peu près 50% sur le corps, sur le visage, et à peu près 30 à 40% sur le corps. Donc, ce qui veut dire que la peau sensible est une vraie, existe en Afrique. Elle est déclenchée essentiellement par la chaleur, par le soleil, par le grattage. The other thing also is when another misconception is people say, oh, when you have a dark skin, you don't age. Why? Why? No, that's not true, because aging has been defined by white people only by wrinkles. And wrinkle is the sign of aging of white population. But when we study, as we have done, aging sign in African populations, we can see that there is a darkening of the skin, and this, you see this heterogeneity of pigmentation. La peau devient de plus en plus hétérogène, on a des taches au fur et à mesure que l'on vieillit. Et vous voyez sur cet homme la différence de couleur. Pourquoi? Parce que le visage a été chroniquement exposé au soleil. And there is an cumulative hyperpigmentation due to age. So the uneven pigmentation and the brown spot occurs in 100% of African population. Why? Because it is a symptom of aging. Donc l'hyperpigmentation, c'est un signe du vieillissement cutané. Donc là, pour vous rappeler les UV, donc ce qui est très important, ce sont ces UVA, ce sont eux qui font ces taches sur peau foncée. Les UVB, c'est pour les blancs, et ça fait des brûlures, et à la longue, ça fait des cancers. So when you want to choose something to protect yourself against UV light, you have to be very cautious that it is totally adapted for darker skin, that it is a sunscreen which is going to protect against UVA. And this is a very difficult education campaign we have started this in Africa, but it's very difficult to understand because people only choose the sunscreen by SPF, le facteur de protection solaire. But SPF is the UVB. The UVA PF is very rarely written on the sunscreens. Why it is important? Because 50% of consultations in dermatology clinics today, in my clinic in Paris, but also clinic in Africa, and also Afro-American clinics I work with, 50% is, because the motive of consultation is hyperpigmentation and pigmented spot. So that's why I want to switch to what I observed, and I was very shocked when I started to work in Africa 15 years ago, is the bleaching phenomenon. So all of you knows, en français on dit dépigmentation volontaire. Bleaching is artificial depigmentation, skin lightening. You have different wordings about this, and it is regular and chronic use of lightening products onto the anti-skin tegument. When we have done some research in Africa, it's not only the face, it's the full body. And what are the culprits? In Africa, it's about from 20-30% of people to 70% in some countries. It is a little less in South Africa. It's very important in Congo, very important in Mali, very important in Ivory Coast, very important in Senegal, 60-70%. So why we do these studies? What the dermatologists are interested about this? Because 1 every 2 patients in a clinic comes to a dermatologist to treat the consequences of this bleaching. And I will show you what are the consequences. Why people want to bleach? Originally, it was probably a political post-colonial issue, definitely. But today, we have done some studies in West Africa with sociologists and anthropologists. And there is a misunderstanding of why these products are used. They are mainly used to have even tone. So the desire of even tone to reduce all this hyperpigmentation is the #1 reason for using dangerous illegal products in Africa. I'm sorry about the photos, but I didn't select the worst one, I can tell you. 100%, 100% d'effets secondaires. Toute personne qui utilise un produit blanchissant va avoir des effets secondaires, 100%. Quels sont ces effets secondaires? Sur la peau, vous avez, évidemment, ça fait une immunosuppression, donc ça donne des infections cutanées, des vergetures, de l'acné, des folliculites, de l'eczéma, etc. Donc vous avez tout ça. Ici, c'est typiquement une femme qui s'est décolorée. Vous voyez qu'il y a des restes de coloration foncée au niveau des articulations. Ça, c'est la couleur qu'elle a obtenue. C'est celle qu'elle pensait pouvoir obtenir. Et le problème, c'est que ça donne une immunodépression. It decreases the immune system systemically because of the use of topical steroids during decades, more than 10 years, more than 20 years. So it gives some hormonal systemic diseases like catching. This is hyperexposure to steroids, Cushing syndrome, and this is very difficult to treat. Carcinomas, and I just want to shock you with some examples that we have diagnosed in West Africa. The woman applying this mixture of illegal products on their body when they are pregnant because they want to have a beautiful glowing skin. Then when the baby arrives, when they give birth to baby, the baby has fetal retardation, fetal growth retardation, and there is a stunting. Donc, quand les femmes s'appliquent ces produits pendant la grossesse, ça fait des petits poids de naissance, 1 kg, 1,5 kg pour le bébé. Et surtout, c'est que les corticoïdes qui sont passés dans la circulation sanguine vont entraîner un retard de croissance qui ne sera jamais rattrapable. Donc, I don't need to say more. I think to convince you that it is really a public health concern touching a large majority of Africans. So then, having said that, what do we do? Because there is a desire for even tone, glowy skin, and there is this product which are not adapted to what is the desire. So then we have worked on the UVA part of the protection, and we have done this study to find out if a sunscreen with a high UVA PF like this will give some results during 8 weeks. In only 8 weeks, you can have a disparition of the pigmented spots. And we have more longer-term studies performed also in Africa and in North America and Afro-American people. So you see, most of the symptoms of darker skin will decrease day after day by usage of a specific UVA protection. This is someone with acne, and you see that after 2 months, I think it was 2 months, then after acne treatment, then you see that the skin is better. And the same for during pregnancy, pendant la grossesse, les femmes font ce que l'on appelle un masque de grossesse, qui est dû à la présence d'hormones dans la peau, mais qui est aussi dû à une micro-inflammation de la peau. Encore, la rougeur va entraîner les taches, et je suis sûre qu'autour de vous, beaucoup de personnes ont déjà eu ces taches de visage. Eh bien, on s'est aperçu que simplement en utilisant un écran solaire, tout simple, avec un UVAPF très élevé, eh bien, on arrive à diminuer significativement. Vous voyez ici, il y a même moins de 3% de masques de grossesse, alors que sans crème solaire, il y en a 50, la moitié en ont. So, prevention with this adequate photoprotection is very important. But I would like, during the discussion, to tell me how you feel it is difficult to recommend sunscreens in Africa. So this is really something which is difficult because you need to explain the whole story. Pour dire cela, il faut expliquer toute l'histoire scientifique derrière. So, besides having adapted product, what we have started in Africa is also primary prevention. And this is a campaign we have started in 2018 in Abidjan, because I thought that if we train teenagers about what is the characteristic of dark skin, how they feel with selfies, they take photos, and how they can prevent from having these problems, maybe by the end of the day, then it will be a better prevention by education to prevent skin bleaching. This program was done in conjunction with the health ministry, with the education ministry, with some association NGOs in Ivory Coast, and obviously with the National Association of Dermatology in Ivory Coast, in Abidjan. And these are the training sessions. What it is, the children during the life science courses are given all the information. On donne une information sur la physiologie de la peau noire pendant les cours de biologie à des enfants de 10 à 14 ans. So this is the training program, understand. Then we ask them to take photos. You know, they love selfies, ils adorent se prendre en photo. Donc on leur demande de prendre des photos et de se regarder. Est-ce que la peau est unie? Est-ce qu'elle a des taches? Et ensuite, on leur fait des recommandations pour se respecter et de ne pas abîmer leur peau en leur expliquant ce que sont les produits de blanchiment qui ne sont pas du tout adaptés pour ce qu'ils vont observer eux-mêmes. Les résultats sont spectaculaires. Après une année, on a donc formé plusieurs collèges en Côte d'Ivoire, ça c'était l'étude pilote, et 89% des enfants, des teenagers, 89% a compris les dangers de la décoloration de la peau et a compris que ce n'était pas la solution pour leurs problèmes de peau. The best reward is here in the volunteer of the teenagers to say, I'm going to transmit all that on digital support in order to share this with my colleagues and my friends. So now this program is deployed in Ivory Coast and hopefully will be deployed in all Africa in the next 10 coming years. Besides campaigns, what also I wished to do is to share all the scientific information with my colleagues in Africa, with the dermatologists and the scientists. The research on skin in Africa is quite low. There is not so many laboratories working on this topic. And why? It's because there are very few. The demography of dermatology in Africa is very minimal. It's 1 for 500,000 or million inhabitants, whereas in Europe is 1 for 10,000 inhabitants. So you see the very, very big difference in numbers. For example, in Ivory Coast, there are 60 dermatologists. In Senegal, there are 120 dermatologists. There are some countries with 30 dermatologists. So it's impossible for them to handle all the education and also to handle all the side effects of the bleaching. So that's why, and also because of that, the dermatologists don't have too many professional associations where they can share their experience and also do some teaching. There are some regional, some national, but there was no association for the whole continent in dermatology. So when I started to gather many from 2003 till 2018, I gathered dermatologists from different countries in Africa, from all Africa. First meeting was in Johannesburg. We were 50, 12 countries. And then year after year, this group of 50 increased and increased. And then after many meetings, we published all our scientific, the papers of all the communications were published in international journals by the African hair and skin expert. And then in Nairobi in 2012, this group of people from Kenya, from Senegal, from Ivory Coast, we decided to create an association. It is the first continental association for dermatology in Africa, and the name is ASDV, Association African Society of Dermatology and Venerology. So you see all the steps to gather and to share and to bridge. Was first in Vancouver. We voted for the bureau. We elected the president and the board members. And then we did the first meeting in Abuja, in Nigeria, and the second meeting in Durban last year. And it was a very big reward to all of us because there were more than 600 participants coming from 50 countries in Africa. So the next will be in Nairobi next year. Besides sharing within the profession, it was also key to have some research program and to sponsor some grants in order to empower scientists and dermatologists in Africa. So this is a program I started in 2013, creation of what we call L'Oréal African Hair and Skin Research Grant. And this is the reward. This is Nkosi Zadlova. I don't know. I was seated with nearby someone from South Africa. I don't know where this lady is. And so she's the dean of the University of Durban. And then we rewarded some students of her university for research programs. And this will be go along and along. So you see all the projects. And the projects are to understand better the skin and the hair in Africa, but done by African scientists, African dermatologists, and published internationally for a worldwide recognition. So now I come to the end of this big trip. I'm sorry if I'm too long. And it was a big journey, but today what we do, we know we have a better insight in skin color diversity. We know exactly what how to categorize. We have deciphered, nous avons déchiffré les raisons, les effets de la vie en ville, la pollution et le soleil sur les peaux foncées. We have started some scientific projects covering all Africa. We have built bridges. On a fait communiquer tous les experts scientifiques du continent et on a des campagnes d'éducation. And the more I think, as leaders in Africa, what is important is empowering young scientists and young dermatologists in Africa, and by your position to play the role model and be a source of inspiration for a healthy skin, and healthy skin is really beauty. So I thank you very much.